Hey guys, what's up? What's going on out there this afternoon? It is Brent Abel here, and their live version of tennis, the Tennis Mindset Project. Here we are Monday afternoon, the what's the date? The 12th of February, 2024, and still in a little bit of pain from the 49ers losing last night. Dang it, that was tough to watch. And anyway, so well, I guess there's always next year. Anyway. Um, So look, guys, I I did do a little live thing on Saturday afternoon from my good friend Jim McLennan from his celebration of life service up in Los Altos Hills at the club he was at, Fremont Hills Country Club. Just really great. I mean, just so many great memories of him and what not only what a great player he was, but a great coach and great friend, and just really one of the really good guys in this tennis industry. And he's going to be missed, but a great role model for all of us for sure. And I think the one message that I like to give, and I mentioned this on Saturday, was just that there's probably someone out there that if you're a player, if you're a coach, if you're whatever, there's been someone in your upbringing, in your career, that really made just a huge difference for you. For me, it was Tom Stow, right? So I mean, I'd sort of bumped along as a player, not very good for a long time. I was a coach, tennis head pro, tennis director, not very good, really didn't know much. And I got together with Tom for literally just about 18 months and came away with just this knowledge and feeling for the game that was completely different. He just really set me on a different path. And there's no question that any success I've had, certainly as a player and as a coach, he gets 100%. And I'm not saying that the other guys, the folks who've helped me, don't get credit, because they certainly do. But, he really, for me, is the one. And so never forget, I worked with Tom in the early 80s, and literally in 1984, ended up winning my first national title, 35 hardcourt doubles, gold ball. And I remember shaking hands with my partner, Rob Olson, walking up the net, shake hands with the opponents after we won the finals. And I just didn't want to call my dad, didn't want to call my mom, didn't want to call anyone except for Tom Stow. And it was bittersweet. I couldn't do it because he'd passed away the prior year. So I ended up calling his wife, Leona, a few days later, and just thanked her profusely for what Tom had given me. And she pretty much said, yeah, he had that effect on a lot of players. So, but it meant a lot to her. So my message from Saturday, from Jim's service, and then today is before we get into what I want to talk about, is there's someone out there that's made a huge difference in your career. Reach out to them today or tomorrow and just thank them. Just absolutely thank them. If they're still not alive, reach out to someone in their family and let them know how much they meant to you. So with that said, today, what I want to talk to you about is, I think, something that's just kind of really came to being for me over the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years. And that is learning how to play the game so efficiently. And I'm going to go through kind of 5 different areas of the game that I think I just sort of, I don't know, just naturally kind of made efficient in terms of winning. And this is really more geared towards tournament players. But, if you're not playing tournaments, this is still a message I think that will be helpful to your game. And that is, how do we play more efficiently and still win? And do so that if you're playing a tournament, you're not burning fuel in one match, and then you show up the next day against someone that maybe you should be beating most of the time, but you burned so much fuel the day before, you just have no gas left in the tank. So I want to talk about that. And let's get into this real quick. What have I got here? Yeah, just a quick reminder, every morning at 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific, I am going live. I haven't the last 3 days. I did some pre-recorded versions of what's the right shot, which is based on 2 things. Number 1, shot choice. Where do you want the ball to land over there? And then number 2, where do you want to move to next on the court to enhance the shot that you just played? So look, let's talk about winning efficiently and burning a lot less fuel. And I was actually thinking about this today as I was driving down from Northern California after spending the weekend up there. I had 7 hours in the car today, Northern California, down here in the desert. And I just got thinking about this thing about winning matches way more efficiently, which means that you burn less fuel, meaning that you've got more in the tank for tomorrow's match. It could be a tough match today and you need to have gas in the tank for tomorrow, or you're at the end of a tournament, right? And you need to have a good supply of fuel to be able to play the semis or the finals or whatever. So there's some, and I was going to look it up today, I didn't do it, but there's a number of quotes that talk about, trying to do something, trying to get to a certain result, and doing it in such a way that you're just you're really, really working hard, as opposed to, there's a better way to do this, much more efficiently, much easier, and still get the job done. I don't know what those quotes are. I've seen them and I'll look them up, maybe pass them on, in another episode today. But here are the 5 things I want you to think about with winning more efficiently in matches so that you don't burn up so much fuel in the tank. And number 1 is going to be swing tech, right? Stroke technique. Look, I mean, I've been sort of railing on this the past few days about this over messaging from the industry on topspin and getting, if you're not semi-Western, then going all the way around to full Western. And I'm telling you, I mean, I've tried it. And for me, it just takes so much more effort to hit a topspin forehand that way as it is to hit a topspin forehand with some spin, a more standard grip, and still get the same result. So it gets down to, well, if I can get the same result, burn less fuel, less taxing on my body, why would I want to go out there and see if I can look like Rafa? Well, it just never really made any sense to me. So the first thing that you need to look at, and speaking of Tom Stow, he did this with me a lot when I worked with him, is he would look at my forehand and there'd be one little racket prep, and he said, that little flare that you do up here on your racket prep, he says, you don't need it. It's just extra work. It's extra work in terms of being more consistent with the timing at the right spot you want for contact. He said, just get rid of that. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you hit a better shot. You can do the same. You can get the same result by doing less. And so his whole thing with me was paring away the unneeded swing tech, stroke technique. And if you've been with me any amount of time, I'm really big on that. Let's make swing technique so doggone efficient that it makes you more consistent as a shot maker, right? That it helps you in the course of the match, where you're not burning yourself out in the first set and half because your swing tech is so complicated. You're working so hard to get the same result that you could with a whole lot less swing tech. So that's one thing to really consider about your game. Number 2 is going to be fitness, and fitness is about the way you move on the court. And if you're slightly off balance, this is another thing, going back to, I'm sure all 5 of these things are going to be Tom Stow stuff that I learned from him. But the second thing here is that the way you move on the court has got to have great posture and great balance. Because if you're slightly off balance, meaning you're trying to run so hard, you're trying to sprint from point A to point B, and you're leaning forward, your upper body's leaning forward just enough to where you're slightly off balance, I mean, the whole time your body's trying to recover, right? You're not moving efficiently. So you're burning more fuel to go to point A to point B, where if you were running more efficiently, if you were sprinting more efficiently, if you were seeing the ball more efficiently, that what you would find is that you'd burn less fuel, right? And you could get to the same spot, point A to point B, the same amount of time, probably arrive better spacing, right? That you'd be able to see the ball better because you're on balance, got great posture, but you'd visually make better contact with a moving ball. So your spacing distance away from the path of that incoming ball at contact is way more consistent, right? Now you get to use your minimal stroke technique with this great movement, this great on balance, efficient movement, and you're finding out that your contact point is a lot more repeatable, getting the same result, probably a better result, and you're a lot more a consistent shot maker. Lee, and again, fitness gets, also, if you're carrying around extra weight, why? I mean, if you're serious about the game, okay. If you're not serious about the game, that's fine. I mean, look, I'm not, my message typically is to those of you guys who are guys and gals who are super competitive, ultra competitive, who are playing in some form of competition where the result is made public. Could be a tournament, could be a league match, maybe even a serious practice match where you guys just say, hey, whoever wins today, we're gonna post it up in the blackboard in the clubhouse. Who won, what the score was, I don't know. But you can't tell me that if the game is about movement, that carrying around any extra weight makes any sense at all. So to me, the more weight you carry around that you don't need, right, you're going to move less efficiently, right, you're going to burn more fuel. And if you're playing tournaments and you really want to get, you want to win the tournament, I don't know how it makes any sense to be burning extra fuel, day after day after day. I mean, look, the tournament that we just played here in the Wilson in the desert a couple of weeks ago, there were a couple of draws that were 128, right? There weren't literally 128 players, but there were more than 64, right? So if there's a draw of 90 plus players, well, if you have to play a first round of 128, I've done this a few times. To win the tournament, you got to win 7 matches. You got to win 7 days in a row. If you're burning up fuel inefficiently, you're not going to get to the finish line. So if you want some help with fitness and if you want to lose some weight, I got some recommendations. I got some suggestions. Shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com, and I'll tell you what those are. Tactics. The third thing is tactics, right? If you're just going to grind with going cross court, trying to win by going from one corner to the next corner, man, it's tough. It's really tough because you're going to stay in the point longer than if you actually move a player up and back. And so I would say tactically, some topspin is good to get the ball to bounce up a little bit, but just as good is to get the ball to skid and stay low with a nice, super efficient underspin backhand or underspin forehand. I'm not saying that should be your staple shot. Underspin for me, unless I'm trying to pass it, unless I'm playing a passing shot, underspin backhands for me are the deal because not only am I more accurate with where it lands over there, it tends to skid and stay below the strike zone. So I'm more accurate. I'm burning less fuel as I play the shot than if I was to be top spinning, rallying ball all day long. And I can disguise a drop shot. So that kind of works into thing 1, which is let's have minimal stroke technique. And then thing 3, which is tactically, let's make that guy burn some fuel by disguising when you're going to drop shot. Make him go from side to side, fine. Once, for a while, but you got to throw the drop shot in there, make them run, make them burn some fuel themselves. The fourth thing is mental. And until I really embraced mindset skill training, I was burning too much fuel, body fuel, physical fuel, because I was bringing too much stress mentally into my matches. And there was too many times where I just wasn't trusting myself. My emotions were all over the map. And so when you bring extra stress, right, from, let's say you play great in practice, but then you go out to the real deal match where the results going to be made public, we bring a level of stress sometimes, and we just don't play as well in that real deal thing. You've got to learn. It's trainable. It's not like flipping on a light switch. There's not some magic bullet. Oh, here, do this one thing, and now all of a sudden you play just as well in the matches you do in practice. No, you got to train some skills to do it. I do have a course on that, by the way, which I'll show you in just a second. But if you're bringing too much stress mentally to your matches, you're burning fuel. It's going straight to your fuel tank, your physical fuel tank, and you're burning it. So you need to be able to play You need to be able to have clarity between points, and then you need to be able to take that clarity into the point itself in terms of shot choice. And the fifth thing are experiences, and experiences are more. Are you playing a lot of sets in practice? And if you're not, if you're just drilling, then you're not practicing the four things that we just talked about, right? The first four things. And a lot of that is the mental part, is the stress part. You've got to be able to, in practice, learn how to play stress free and actually control it, right? I mean, we just play lots of times we don't play totally stress free in matches. I mean in practice, but you need to be able to train that feeling that you want when you play the match. You need to be able to train that in practice. And the way you do that is by playing a whole lot of sets. I'll never forget Tom Stow. I used to say, well, you want me to go run the hills up by the club and do this and that? And yet he says, if you want to do that a little bit, that's fine. But the big thing is to get in great shape is to play a ton of sets. And you'll get lots of experiences in terms of realizing who you are on the court and realizing how does that fit into the different styles that you're going to play against. And so that was the thing for me back in the day, just playing a ton of practice sets. So look, those are the 5 areas there that if you want to win efficiently to where you're not completely exhausted mentally and physically, even if you win the match and then the next day you got to go out in the tournament and you got nothing left, what's the point? We got to get you to be really, really efficient in those 5 areas. And when you do, you're going to get further and further in tournaments. And who knows, maybe you start knocking on the door of one of these balls, a bronze or silver or gold, whatever. That could be your goal. Maybe not. It doesn't matter what your goal is. It's all relative. So guys, that's it for me today. Let me just do this one thing. Yeah, look, if you love today's episode, please like it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and be sure to hit that notification bell. And then, yeah, looks like I talked about with the fourth thing with mental, the Tennis Mindset Project, the 5 mindset skill habits. It's a 28-day training course that I put together that I've been doing now for about 18 months. And 15 months, won 9 national titles in both singles and doubles, a run that I've never had before. And it was really because of just of these things right here. Finally came to the realization, what's the missing piece for me? It's mental, right? I mean, I'm doing everything else physical, but then I would just taking this level of stress out to my matches and tournaments and not really controlling my mind the way that I studied and learned how to do, and the results stand for themselves, stand alone. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. So if you want to pick up that course, going over to webtennis.com/SLR5 habits. The link is down below in the description area. And I think you'll enjoy the course, getting a lot of great feedback on it from a lot of my students, and would love to see you inside the course. Guys, that's it for me today. Looking forward to getting back on track tomorrow morning with a live episode of What's the Right after 3 days of pre-records. And any questions, let me know down below in the comments area. And if you want to keep it private, just go ahead and shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. That is it for me today, guys. Thanks for hanging out. It's time. We got to get out there. Got to help someone else have a great day. Guys, see you again next time.